Hi, my name is Barb Nangle. I'm the founder of Higher Power Coaching and Consulting. I want to welcome you to my podcast, Fragmented to Whole, Life Lessons from 12-Step Recovery.
This is episode 36, Your Rights as a Person in Recovery. You have the right to differentiate from other people in your life, to separate yourself from them, their patterns, beliefs, and customs, if that's what you want to do. In other words, you have the right to take responsibility for your own life and not go by other people's opinions of how they think you should run your life. You also have the right to not take responsibility for other people's lives. So if you're not drinking and drugging and your whole family does, you have the right to be clean and sober, even if they're not. If your whole family is getting together on Christmas Eve or for some other holiday for a time-honored tradition and you find them and or the situation triggering, you have the right not to go to that event. I'll get into a lot more specifics about your rights as a person in recovery shortly. But if this is your first holiday season in recovery or your 50th, being reminded of what your rights are as a person in recovery is something I think we all need to hear. And since you're likely to be in situations where your old patterns developed, I'm dedicating this episode to reminding you during the holidays of your rights as a person in recovery. I've taken some of the content from Melody Beattie, who's the author of The Language of Letting Go. She wrote a piece called Property Lines that if you are interested in, you can just Google it and it'll pop up. I've also taken some of the information from the Bills of Rights of various 12-step programs. And just like the rights you have in everyday society, just because you have the right to do something doesn't mean you have the ability to do it. And it doesn't mean that others won't challenge your rights. Just knowing that you have the right to certain things can be a game changer. I know that it was for me. Being told and then really comprehending that I don't have to take on the beliefs of others. I don't have to do things the way other people do them. I don't have to participate in the dysfunction in my family was monumental in my recovery. We don't know what we don't know. So being told you have explicit rights can be helpful, which is why I'm sharing this info now. If others have addictions, problems, feelings, or self-defeating behaviors, those are their issues to deal with, not ours. Others' negativity, controlling, or manipulative ways are their issues, not ours. Their denial or confusion, inability to love and receive love, their lies, deceptions, tricks, manipulations, abusive and or inappropriate behaviors, cheating or tacky behaviors are their issues, not ours. People's hopes, dreams, guilt, happiness, or misery are their issues. Others' choices about what they say, do, wear, eat, spend money on, who or whether they date, whether they want to have children or how many children, are all their choices. It's none of our business, and we don't have to fix any of it. I don't have to fix it. It's none of my business. What is my business? My behaviors, problems, feelings, happiness, misery, choices, and messages. My ability to love, care, and nurture or not are mine. My thoughts, denial, hopes, and dreams for myself are mine. If we allow people to control, manipulate, deceive, or mistreat us, that is our business. And if you've realized as a result of your recovery, you've been allowing people to treat you poorly, that's not an excuse to further beat yourself up. It's something to look at and work on changing. It's info, not ammo. That is, it's information to know about yourself so you can grow and change, not ammunition with which to beat yourself up. It's info, not ammo. If you've been allowing people to treat you like shit your whole life, but then you've been blaming them for being assholes, then your part in that is that you allowed it. The work of recovery is in learning how to undo those dysfunctional patterns. And that's where the 12 steps come in. Now, back to your rights as a person in recovery, or really as a human being. You have a right to develop as a whole person emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, and psychologically. You have the right to grieve over what you didn't get that you needed or what you got that you didn't need or want. You have the right to follow your own values and standards. You have the right to recognize and accept your own value system as appropriate for you. You have the right to say no to anything when you feel you're not ready, it is unsafe, or it violates your values, or for any other reason. And you have the right to say no to requests or demands you can't or don't want to meet, including during the holidays. And you have the right to do so without offering an explanation. You have the right to dignity and respect. Now, that doesn't mean you'll get it, but you have the right to it just by being born. You don't have to do anything to earn that right, no matter what anyone tells you. You have the right to make your own decisions. You have the right to determine and honor your own priorities. You have the right to have your needs and wants respected by others. And again, just because you have the right to those things doesn't mean you will get those things. It doesn't mean people will automatically respect you. If you don't feel like your needs and wants are being respected by others, then you have a choice. You get to decide what you're going to do about it. Hear me clearly here. What you are going to do about it, not what they are going to do about it. Remember the spiritual axiom, if I am disturbed, there is something wrong with me, which doesn't mean nobody did anything. Maybe they did. But if you're disturbed and you want to be undisturbed, then you're the one that needs to do something to get yourself to be undisturbed. And only you know what that is. You have the right to terminate conversations with people who make you feel put down and humiliated. You have the right not to be responsible for others' behaviors, actions, feelings, or problems. You have the right to make mistakes and not have to be perfect. You have the right to expect honesty from others, but just because you have the right to it doesn't mean you'll get it. But you do have the right to honesty. And don't let anyone tell you differently. You have the right to all of your feelings. It doesn't matter if others find your feelings unacceptable or uncomfortable or not. They're your feelings, and you have the right to feel anything. You have the right to be angry at someone you love. In fact, those are the people we're most likely to be angry with. We spend the most time with them, and they're close enough to be invested in strong emotions, such as anger. You have the right to be uniquely you without feeling that you're not good enough. You have the right to feel scared and to say, I'm afraid. You have the right to experience and let go of fear, guilt, and shame after you've felt the feelings. You have the right to make decisions based on your feelings, your judgment, and any other reason you choose. You have the right to change your mind at any time. You have the right to be happy. You have the right to stable, healthy relationships of your choice and to be in non-abusive and healthy environments. You have the right to your own personal space and time needs. You have the right to be relaxed, playful, and frivolous. You have the right to be flexible and to be comfortable with doing so. You have the right to change and grow. We either grow or we atrophy. You have the right to make friends and be comfortable around people. You have the right to be healthier than those around you. You don't have to lower your energy to theirs or your standards of self-care to theirs. You have the right to take care of yourself no matter what. You have the right to grieve over actual or threatened losses, no matter how long ago or recent the event was, or whether other people you're grieving too long or incorrectly. There is no right way to grieve and no timeline for grief that fits everyone. You have the right to trust others who earn your trust and to not trust those who are untrustworthy. You have the right to forgive others and to forgive yourself. You have the right to give and receive unconditional love. You have a right to ask for what you want. You have the right to determine your own priorities. You have the right not to be responsible for others' behaviors, actions, feelings, or problems. You have the right to be uniquely yourself. You have the right to say, I don't know. That was huge for me. In fact, when I say it now, it makes me feel pretty empowered, which is kind of counterintuitive. When I say it, I'm clear that whatever I'm being asked, not only do I not know, but I don't feel responsible for knowing or for finding out, which is how I used to feel all the time. I felt like I was supposed to know everything, that it was my responsibility, and if I didn't know, I better find out immediately. You have the right not to give excuses or reasons for your behavior. You have a right to joy in this life, right here, right now. Not just a momentary rush of euphoria, but something more substantive. You have a right to relax and have fun in a non-addictive and non-destructive way. You have a right to actively pursue people, places, and situations that will help you in achieving a good life. You have a right to change your tune or your strategy. You have a right to mess up, to make mistakes, to blow it, to disappoint yourself and others, to fall short of the mark. You have the right to be human, which means to be flawed. And as you may recall from one of my earlier episodes, you are flawsome. That is, you are flawed in your awesomeness and you are awesome in your flawedness. Just because you're flawed doesn't mean that you're not awesome. And just because you're awesome doesn't mean you're not flawed. You have a right to leave the company of people who deliberately or inadvertently put you down, lay a guilt trip on you, manipulate or humiliate you, including your addicted loved ones, your non-addicted loved ones, and any member of your family or your colleagues. You have a right to trust your feelings, your judgment, your hunches, your intuition. You have the right to cry when you feel like crying and to smile when you feel like smiling. You have the right to set limits and be selfish. You have the right to be exactly who you want to be, so long as you're not harming others in the process. So go out there into the world and be exactly who you want to be. You have the right to do so. That's it for today. If you like what you've heard here, then you just might be interested in private coaching with me. If that sounds like you, head on over to my website, which is higherpowercoachingandconsulting.com, and click on the contact menu. I'd be happy to schedule a consultation with you to help you make lasting changes in your life, like I've made deep, lasting changes in my life. My ideal client is someone who is ripe for change, but I'll coach anyone who wants to be happy, joyous, and free. So if that's you, shoot me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can be sure to get future episodes of my podcast. Thanks again.